shoes. So let's kind of start with the one that we might talk about the most, the Carbon X3, and talk about the upper, because that's the big story. With the Carbon X3, comes in around the same weight. You have this beautiful looking upper. Shout out to Val.
Gorgeous,
She's been on the podcast before, but she designed this, and I do think it's amazing looking. It's got this kind of like two-tone color split down, the inside here. It's really cool. But it's a full booty construction upper. And then you have the same kind of design of the midsole, same geometry, same stack, same plate positioning, same plate geometry and stiffness, all that stuff. And then the other new thing is that you have a new midsole compound, which is ProFly X, which they say is a supercritical foam. And so we just want to talk a little bit about what the experience changes between the 2 and the 3, and then talk about this upper, because I think the upper is going to be one of those that David said, for some it's going to work and for some it isn't. And this is definitely one of those. So what do you got for us?
Yeah, I was conflicted with that shoe.
Mm-hmm.
It felt like a step in the right direction. I think the midsole did feel a little bit more alive, maybe a little bit more bouncy. I wouldn't quite go as far to say it's comparable with the other supercritical foams out there. If I'm comparing it to a lot of the other quote-unquote super shoes, it definitely did feel a little flat. But it's also designed for ultra-marathon racing, so I can live with that. But it's nice, it's rhythmic, it's got a little bit more bounce than the X2. Where I had a problem was the upper. And I think aesthetically it's beautiful. It looks amazing. And the material itself is nice too. I have no problem with the material. I think it's just the integration with the platform underneath it. And it's pretty voluminous, especially through the forefoot and midfoot. And you really, really have to pull that thing down. I wish I could show you on my foot, but I have to lace it down to where that knit material ends up crinkling on itself. Over through the midfoot on the dorsal aspect of my foot. And if I do that, it helps out the ride. But if I don't do that, I definitely get some heel slippage. You have that sharp plated rocker and you kind of dip off the front of it. But if your foot's not connected to that platform, your heel just kind of does this every step. And then it doesn't just result in linear running, but it also makes you feel a little wobbly going into turns and things like that too. You don't quite trust it. And so I like the shoe. I have to make some accommodations for it that I probably shouldn't have to make, that I feel are pretty extreme, where I'm like literally lacing this thing down about as tight as it possibly can go. Yeah. But if you have a more voluminous foot, who knows? It might actually feel quite nice. So.
Right. Yeah. I have a friend who, he's in our run club and he loves running the Carbon X. That's like his go-to shoe. So when I got this, and part of why he liked it is because he's got a narrower foot, and the profile of it in general has been a little bit more race ready, locked down. So he likes to use it for that. So he's like, when I got this, he's like, you're gonna have to tell me how it is. And I'm like, oh man, you might be disappointed because his foot's super small. Like the volume of the, area of his foot is small. So, I told him you might want to stock up on the 2, but I had a pretty similar experience when it comes to the platform of the Carbon X2 and 3. I love the geometry for my gait. Like you said, it's super rhythmic. And I love the rubberized EVA, though, again, in winter, it's super limited for me because there is no grip on any level of snow on this outsole. It's actually rather grippy on the pavement because that softer rubberized EVA almost the pavement like sinks into it and you kind of like latch on to the little bit of pavement that's there. But it's the quietest shoe to run in. And it's super nice. And
we have a guest appearance.
Wow, this is just super strange. We got Matt jumping in right in the middle. Hey, Matt.
Oh, I made it. Awesome, I made it.
Matt's car must be fixed. Is your car fixed?
Yes, it is.
Oh, happy for you.
After driving all over.
I want to give you a reminder. Make sure the audio gets recorded.
I already did it.
Cool.
Wow, this is amazing. He's
on it.
So... Well, Matt, we'll catch you up. We talked about all of our favorite uppers. We're not going back to that. Sorry, you missed your chance.
News of Try 13, done.
That's a good point. And then we just started talking about Hoka. We're talking about the things that with this new line kind of going more broad strokes, and we're going to be talking about what worked, what didn't, and where do they need to go. So we're talking about the Carbon X3 right now.
Okay.
And so, yeah, for me, the landing is so soft. I just love the feel of it. Like DJ said, the foam, like, if you're looking forward to like a totally new foam feel for the Carbon X, you won't find it here. It's a slight tick towards more bouncy, especially when you're picking up. Like when I do strides in this, it actually feels like I can use the word bounce or pop. Whereas I felt like in the Carbon X2, you couldn't say that. It just felt like it was able to turn over because it was a little bit lighter and the geometry was nice and the toe spring felt propulsive. This one, I feel like you can actually say there's a little bounce from that heel. The forefoot feels pretty similar to me. I didn't really notice a big difference. But again, that upper just doesn't work for me either. Slightly more narrow foot, and I either lock it down so much that, like DJ said, it creases and then it is a problem, or my heel slips the whole time. And I chose to do the heel slipping portion of it. But I still did like 10 to 12 miles in it a couple times, but I feel like the fit just missed the mark, and fit's important.
Yeah, and it's a small adjustment, right? I mean, that shoe has a lot of potential, I think, and something they can do going forward, just dialing in that fit, especially with the volume through the forefoot and midfoot.
Right.